Hello and welcome to another Naval Action video with RGB. Well, after watching me in action for a couple of days, I think it's time to start explaining a little bit about the game, about how open world works. Of course, remember all this is going to probably change at some point in the future. This is a very early stage alpha and it's just for testing purposes of the in-game mechanics. But well, so far there are some mechanics that some people don't know how they actually work and um, what you should do and what you shouldn't do when you start playing the game. Now, when you start playing the game, you will create a character, you will choose a nationality, and you will start at the starting point. Depending on the nation you choose, you are going to start in one or another. In the case of Spain, which I am Spanish in the game, and also in real life, Spanish start in Santo Domingo. Other nations start elsewhere, so you only have to check the name of the port up here. And if you don't know where the hell that is, you will only have to Alt Tab, go into Google Maps, search for the port in question, and you will know exactly where you are within the Caribbean Sea. Um, the map is essentially all the Caribbean, up from I think Southern Virginia down to Colombia, Venezuela, those areas. On the western side, I think it's up to Mexico, so it's a very large area, and you will want to know where you start from. Once you know where you start from, you are going to actually, yeah, there's a basic links. Let's buy one just to, well, explain how it goes. Home, basic links. Yeah, so you will start with this zip. That's a basic links, very basic. You will start with nothing but medium cannons 4-pounders. Of course, 4-pounders are not really big. Now, one of the things you have to understand, and is very important to get from the very beginning, is the rating of the spots in your ship. Now, you will notice down below here, between brackets, there's 8/10. Now 8/10 is the class of the item that you can mount there. So if you have a 8/10 cannon or spot for weapons, that means you only can load class 8 to 10 weapons. As you see, base medium cannon, those are class 10s, which are of course the lowest class of guns you can currently mount. So if you are looking for an upgrade in your weapons and you happen to go to the shop and say, oh, I want these medium cannons 6-pounders, you will see class 8. Well, will they fit? Well, actually, yeah, they do, because it's a class 8 to 10. But if you want to load long cannons 12-pounders, class 5, no, they are not going to fit. Long cannons 18-pounders, of course, no, they are not going to fit. Actually, I think I have some medium cannons, carbonades. Carbonades, 18-pounders. I can't mount, you will see. I unload this, I try to load this. They will remain there, but then they go back to the warehouse because they can't be loaded. Now, this is a very important thing because a lot of people don't understand how this works. Each time you want to know which weapons you can mount, you have to check the number between brackets. Alright? Then compare them with the class of the weapons themselves. So for instance, again, if I want to load medium cannon 6-pounders, I can because they are class 8 and the links is at 8 to 10 in deck 1. I want to load carbonades, he's going to say no. Of course, carbonate 18. I think it can load 12-pounder carbonades. So yeah, and in upgrades, as you will see, they are all 0/0. That means that right now you can mount whatever module you want in whatever spot because they are all class 0 and all upgrades slots are 0/0/0/0. So you can mount whatever in whatever ship. Of course, that's going to change. And so in the future, this won't be that way. You will be able to mount certain classes of upgrades only. So we have to check, well, does this extra bow planking fit here? Oh yes, it does. Okay, I can mount it. But of course, that's right now because I can mount wherever. But in the future, it's not going to be that way. Of course, in the future, you will have officers, permanent upgrades, which the ship actually should have. Most of them do. You will check ships. When you hover the mouse over them, it says which permanent modulus it has. For instance, this cutter has extra stern planking, extra bow planking, extra pump, and comes with them by default, and would be up here. And then you can mount other upgrades down here to further improve. Of course, as you can see, different ships, even while they are the same class, are different. This one has reinforced rudder, magazine armor, magazine armor. This one has extra set planking, extra bow planking, and extra pump. They are priced differently because, of course, the modulus make for a better or slightly worse ship. So when you are purchasing your ship, you want to see which are the permanent modulus you have on. Maybe you have the money to buy a surprise and you have the class and the XP to sell a surprise, but maybe permanent modulus, extra bound planking, extra step planking, makeshift barricades. Uh, I honestly would like a surprise with different permanent modules, maybe one that would make it faster or whatever, or turn better. But if I'm happy with this, I will purchase this. Maybe I want something different in my permanent modulus, and I will have to sail to another port and check other ports. Cannons, well, as I said, they come with class, its caliber, and its weight. Of course, the weight increases the bigger the cannons are, with maybe some exceptions, because as you will see, carbonates weight 1, they are actually lighter than 6-pounders because carbonates were very light guns, even while they fire heavier shot. The problem was, of course, the restricted range. So, well, overall, I think the modules and upgrades and weapons, etc., is more or less explained. Now, I'm going to take this out. In home, you can sell and purchase ships. To sell a ship, well, you can sell for 0 gold because, of course, the basic links doesn't cost anything. I'm going to sell it because I don't need it. When you have a bigger ship, as you can see, I have a basic links in Santo Domingo. Now, this enters the outposts. How do the outposts work? If you have seen my 2 previous videos, you will have seen that I was sailing around, capturing ships, sinking ships also, but mostly the most important thing is capturing ships and storing. Well, as you can see, I have a warehouse here where I can store all this stuff, and I can store all this stuff as well, which I don't need on board of my ship, and I'm going to do it right now. So I have a warehouse here. I can store ships, items, whatever in here. Why? Well, because I happen to have an outpost here. So well, you start with an outpost in your starting position. So if you start in, for instance, I started in Santo Domingo, I still have an outpost in Santo Domingo. If you visit a port where you want to establish an outpost, well, that should be, of course, a port of your nation or a neutral one. Desirably, you would want mostly one of your nation, but you can set an outpost in a neutral port. Well, you only have to buy a slot. I'm not going to do that because it's going to cost me money. The first slot is almost free. You can buy a slot, and then you have to buy the actual outpost, which I think is 10,000 or something like that. It's pretty expensive when you are starting out, but it's not not a big deal really. I mean, 10,000 is pretty easy to make in OpenSea. So you have to buy a slot in the place you want to buy an outpost, and then buy the outpost. Right now, as I said, I have one in Santo Domingo, one in San Juan. I could close the one in Santo Domingo, but it would cost me money. But would make the next one I buy cheaper. The more outposts you have, the more expensive they become, and the more you have to pay for each one. So ideally, you want to think in strategic positions. You know you are going to be around a lot. And maybe if you are planning to do a very long trip and establish another base of operation somewhere else, maybe what you want to do is to close your outpost here, and when you reach there, well, store all the things up there. You will have to get everything you have here and then take it there, because whatever thing you leave out of your ship in a port where you don't have a warehouse is lost. If you currently you can't sell it because selling items right now is not implemented. In the future, it will be, of course, so it will be so much trouble. But right now, if you want your goods to be stored, you need a warehouse, and if you don't have the warehouse in that particular port, you're going to lose them. So having an outpost adds a very significant layer to your strategic decisions, or where you are going to be based, where you are going to sail around, and where your hunting grounds are. Because of course, if right now like this, with one spot here in San Juan and another one in Santo Domingo, I decide to go hunting at, I don't know, Florida. Well, I can go there, but the problem is whatever I capture will be sent back to San Juan or Santo Domingo, the one I choose. And it's a long trip from Florida to those two places. So if I plan to do a change of location, I will want to open an outpost on that location. So we have seen the outposts. Next, here you have ship selection. Of course, you can only choose from ships you have in your current outpost. You can't go and fast travel to a place where you have another ship stored. If you want to take control of a ship, you have to be in the port where your ship is stored. So you can just click and you will change between both. For instance, as you see, my Cerberus, I chose it because he had massive barricades, which I don't really give a shit about, but I have an optimized radar, which I like a lot. Next thing, when you purchase a new ship, you will see you will have 5 durabilities. Okay, you also have the class of the ship. So the smallest ships are class 7, Snow is Trader Snow, class 6, Surprise is class 5. Cerberus, I think, is also class 5. Hold on a second, let's check it out. Yeah, it's a class 5. That has no really meaningful. That's actually the historical classification of ships: first rate, second rate, fifth rate, whatever. But you will see durability 5. What also you will see that my Cerberus is down to 4. That means that I actually lost one battle in my Cerberus, and that was versus a player in a surprise, which I chose to go head to head against, and I almost beat, but it didn't beat him, of course, because in the end he boarded me and that was over. So I lost one battle in my ship and I lost one durability. Now you keep your ship as long as you have durabilities. If you lose a battle in your ship, you are fast traveled to the nearest neutral or friendly port. You will have one less durability in your ship, and you will have to repair it fully. In my case, that was, I recall, maybe 4,000 gold, something like that, to fully repair a Cerberus. The better the ship, the more expensive it is. Once you run out of durabilities, your ship is gone. You don't no longer have it. And everything on board is also lost. If I go out right now with all these you can see a lot of repair kits here. If I go out there and I lose my ship, well, I will back to port with one less durability, my Cerberus, and all this stuff in the hold. However, if you are in your last durability, whatever is in your hold is also lost. And your modules as well. So you might be careful with that. Okay? Durabilities only apply to ships you buy. You can see you start with 5. Personally, I think that's too much. I would go with a much lower number, maybe 3 or 2, or even 1, but whatever. You start with 5 if you purchase your ship. If you capture it. Now, if you capture it, it's very different. You will see this privateer I captured in my previous sortie. You see, has a durability of 1. I only have this durability of my privateer. Okay? So if you capture an enemy ship, you will have only 1 durability on it. If you purchase it, you will have 5. Alright? So that's a big difference between captured and purchased ships. What else? Well, modules, as I said, well, modules, cannons, and ships. You can choose from a limited selection of them, of course. There's always a basic links to purchase if you don't have anything else to sell. But cannons and modules and ships, the other ships, well, they are different from port to port. So maybe one port will have the surprise, the next port will have a trincomaly, I don't know, or maybe a brig, whatever. If there's no prediction on what you are going to find where. So it's time to get into a port. You might want to check on the modules, the cannons, and the ships to check if there's something you want. All right. Well, the modules, of course, they have very different attributes. Each one of them. This one is interesting, but it's too expensive for too little. Nah, I'm not going to get it. So yeah, that's what regards to what you want to do in port. In next videos and in following days, I will start to make some videos going out in very light ships, maybe with the privateer. I'm going to use it probably for that, to show you what you can do with a very light ship when you go out for the first time and you want to look for fortune and gold. Because of course at the beginning you start with very little gold and you start with a very basic ship. And you want to move out of that situation as soon as possible. So we will be looking at some tactics, some things you can do to get going and to get a fast start in your career in naval action open world. In the meantime, I hope you found this interesting, entertaining, and instructive. As always, thank you very much for watching and see you later.